I started here in the library in 2007, and I started as a cataloger after I got out of library school. And there was this collection of 150 to 200 UK punk fanzines from the late 70s and early 80s. I ended up working on those first. They'd been sitting here for years, just as a kind of hidden collection. People didn't know that we had them. So I did some cataloging work on those, realized it was some really unique stuff that not a lot of other libraries had. Certainly no other libraries at the time in North America had them. Some libraries in the UK did, but they weren't necessarily accessible to people from around here. I think with a lot of stuff that we collect here in special collections, that it's like popular culture or radical material. The most stuff that we get comes from donations. I mean, MSU, I think largely in part of Randy's work with the comics, has kind of established this reputation for collecting popular material like that. So people will find us online, or will just know of us already as a place that wants that kind of stuff. And so zines have come to us that way, by people just knowing like, oh, MSU would want this. And so they get in touch and send it our way. And you know, like the UK punk zines that I first started with, they showed up sometime back in the 80s and then sat there for who knows how long before we actually made them available to people. Like being able to identify an author anywhere on the piece, like what's the title of this thing, like maybe it doesn't even say where was it published, what year was it published, those kinds of things. It's stuff that defies ordinary conventions for published matter that the library would typically collect. People that produce zines, you know, maybe just a few friends know that they've published those zines, so you kind of really have to go out of your way to find them. Our neighbors at the University of Michigan, they have zines there in their special collections, particularly in the Labadie collection, which is a collection of anarchist material. So they would have a lot of zines related to anarchism. The Queer Zine Archive Project out of Milwaukee, which isn't affiliated with a library or archive, but it's a standalone operation run in Milwaukee, kind of as a labor of love by some people there. And their focus is on queer zines. So Bowling Green State University is a place like that. Duke University, though, they were principally interested in zines by women and girls because of this one special collection that they have, the Sally Bingham collection. And then similarly, Barnard College, their library, I think in the mid-2000s they got Jenna Friedman, who's kind of a pioneering zine librarian, and she started a collection there focused on zines by women and girls. I mean, here at MSU, we ended up collecting zines, you know, back in the 70s and 80s, but we weren't necessarily being intentional about it. They would just show up because we were trying to collect pop culture material and radical material. That's how it gets classified. Whatever topic it's on, that's how it gets classified. So it could be anywhere in the stacks, but because we have so many that are related to music, and punk music in particular, there's a big chunk of them that are right here. First punk zines out of San Francisco, started by V. Vale, with a loan of like a few bucks from Allen Ginsberg. Shame of Touch and Go, right? But Tesco also gifted us a replica of the original issues of Touch and Go, and this was put together by some Japanese publisher. The flyers here, and then this is a replica of the very first issue from 1979, but it looks a lot like the original. There's been a lot of talk about the relationship between zines and the internet, and I think there was some you know, the people that would say that the internet killed zines, I think, have spoken too soon, because zines never really went away. They haven't gone away. I mean, they're still being created because I get them every year, even if other libraries thought they were a little too hot to handle. You know, I think what it really comes down to is that kind of ownership over one's own created work. Ownership both in the sense of, you know, literally owning it, but also like a sense of this is still mine, like I didn't have to give it to Google or whatever blog software or whatever, and subject it to whatever kinds of censorship and layout and dehumanization comes along with just pushing everything out digitally. But there's still, because it's physical, some kind of intimate connection to me. What I engage with most is within the realm of librarianship and archives, and the connections between those professions and zines. There's been literature and scholarship on that for a couple decades at least. People appreciate the fact that we have this stuff here. Yeah, I mean the collection gets used by researchers. There's grad students working on dissertations that will come and use the zines, and they come at it from any number of angles, whether it has to do with punk, with music more generally, with critical theory kinds of things. They might have radical or offensive messages or something like that. But that was a reason why libraries didn't collect a lot of things, and reasons why the radicalism collection here were important. Things like the radicalism collection here were important because we're going out of our way to try to collect some things that we knew would be important for history. I feel good about it. I would feel better if I could do it some more.